Hey everyone, welcome back again, and here's a new deck video for you. It's a Coral Orchestra deck. It's based around the monster tribe, and I'm going with red and green. A lot of the new monster units in the new expansion have the ability of, when surviving damage, they do it procs their ability, whether it be gain +1 attack, remove a unit, deal damage in front, things like that. And this was a very cool idea for me to work with. And I'm really liking this tribe synergy, and Coral Orchestra does make it so you can have these multiple color tribe synergy decks, and it's actually really fun to play. It's done okay in ranked. It did better in ranked earlier in the season than it did now. Feline decks now that are doing really well are the red-green human Coral Orchestra and the Trinity Shield Spire. But again, it does do good in ranked. I will warn you now that most of the videos that I took with this deck are actually in free play because I was just messing around with it, testing hand synergy, and it actually worked out pretty well. But let's take a look at this deck. It's called Green-Red Meownsters because I'm using cat puns now because I'm playing a lot of feline. First card is State of Nothingness. It gives a friendly unit +1 attack for each time you use an action card during this battle. It's a good game ender to say you've used 7 or 8 action cards and you have, anything on the field, and your opponent has like 10 health. You can use it to just at the last second to give you that final push to hit for a finisher. Very good legendary attack buff. Liberating Slash deals 9 damage to a unit and gives 9 life to the hero controlling that unit. You can use it to take out an enemy beater. You can use it to save yourself in a last-second ditch effort. You could use it to stop yourself from getting brainwashed, things like that. Very good all-around thing. Sometimes taking out an enemy beater with it, you give that opponent 9 health, but it's better to give them that 9 health than have to deal with that unit on the field anymore. Inborn Powers moves a friendly unit to a random open board slot and gives that unit +1/+1. At memory 2, it gives you 1 MP. Always having extra MP is nice, especially in a dual color deck, and the ability to move around the field and avoid damage or jump into a lane to block damage and also give +1/+1 is very good. Agent's Memory is pretty much a staple in anything red at this point. It deals 2 damage to an enemy hero or enemy unit, and at memory 7 it deals 7 damage to the enemy hero or enemy unit. You can use it to hit the opponent at the end of the game for a win. You could use it to take out a high HP beater, things like that. Very good, very solid. Like I said, pretty much a staple in everything red. One of the new cards, we're using Riding the Giant Weapon. Gives a friendly unit +3 HP. If there is a unit on your field with 4 or more attack, it gives an additional +1/+1. So you're giving a unit +1/+5, or +1/+4, I'm sorry, if there is a friendly unit with 4 attack on the field, which is very nice. It's not hard to get to 4 attack with this deck. So it's very good for utility, and as you'll see with the surviving abilities, it's very nice to always give out some HP. Our first unit is the 3 MP Great Wargi. It is the monster tribe, and after taking damage and surviving, it gains +1 attack. So you basically, for a 3 MP unit, this thing can become a beater awfully quickly, and you're supporting him with health gain cards and a health gain monster tribe unit. So he'll constantly be chipping and getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and he will become a force to reckon with very quickly, especially with the actions in this deck and especially with some of the other units in this deck. That other unit is Bamburo. It's a monster, and when played it deals 2 damage to all other friendly monster units and gives them +4 HP. So initially when it drops, you're going to do 2 damage, proccing, say, Great Wargi's ability twice, he becomes a 3/5, and then he's going to gain 4 HP back, and so he'll be a 3/9. So as you can see, you're kind of playing around, and then look, he has 4 attacks. See the little sparkles? But he has 4 attacks, so then you can use Riding the Giant Weapon on Great Wargi, and he just astronomically shoots up. You can run him at 2 or 3, and then I'm running at 2 because I want to run 3 Congolalas. But you can switch that and run 3 Bamburos and 2 Congolalas. A Kongolala is a monster, and after taking damage and surviving, it deals 1 damage to the unit in front. So if an enemy unit has a shield and he hits you for 2, you're just hitting him back. You're breaking his shield with your attack or your defense and then still doing some damage to him in the long run. and it's just like a chip. You're just chipping at the opponent units in front of you, and eventually they'll wear down faster than you, especially again with adding the HP with like riding the giant weapon, or some of the other cards in this deck will add HP to this unit to keep it around and just keep chipping at the field. I run Valstrex like a legendary. It's a monster. It has flight, rush, and agility. It's a great target for riding the giant weapon. Bambro will give him 2 health. Another card in this deck will give him some more health. All these cards are based around synergizing with monsters, and Valstrex still benefits even though he doesn't have an ability of proccing when taking damage. Dreadcrane Wrathion is kind of like the synergy, let's bring it all together. She has rush. She and her ability is on attacking all other units take 1 damage every 5 seconds. So taking 1 damage every 5 seconds would proc Rorgi's ability every 5 seconds. He would gain an attack. Kongalala would do 1 damage every 5 seconds to the unit in front of him. So those 2 units very much benefit from having Wrathion on the field with them. And then every time Wrathion attacks, it stacks on them. So every 5 or 6 seconds, Rorgi would gain 2 attack. As long as you can keep them alive, the ability keeps proccing, and it's pretty great. I run 2 wall jump just to keep some units alive in a pinch if they're going to trade real quick. I haven't used it very often, but it's there as an option. You're running green, might as well run 1 or 2 shields to protect, and you could also protect something that's about to die, like Valstrex and things like that. I run Besieged, or I run 2 Besieged, I'm sorry. Besiege reduces damage taken of 3 or less to 1 to a friendly unit, and that helps keep things like Rorgi and Kongalala on the field, because there's a lot of units that do 2 or 3 attack damage without being buffed, and it's reduced to 1, so they proc their ability a lot more. Doll's Memory gives a unit +1/-4, and at Memory 7 it's +4/+4. You can either remove units. In a pinch you can use it if you have 5 say you have 5 HP on a unit and you have 4 attack and the enemy has 7 HP. You can use this real quick just to wipe out both units, things like that. Or at Memory 7 it can turn anything into a major beater and a lane blocker and everything like that. Next is another new card called Sturdy Sounder. It gives a friendly unit +2 HP. There's that HP. If it's a monster unit, it gains an additional +1/+1, so it's a +1/+3. And then also it deals 1 damage to the unit, which would be a +1/+2 at that point, but you also proc the ability of that unit if it survives damage. So it works really well with Rorgi and Kongalala. The next unit is Kuropeko. Kuropeko is another monster unit, and when played, it gives other monster units 2 HP. That's again to keep them alive and on the field and to keep their abilities proccing and going. And the last unit is the Kushala Daora, the Storm. It has flight, and it has a built-in Besieged when on the field, reduces damage taken of 1 or less to 3. And after dealing damage to an enemy hero, returns a random enemy unit with 5 HP or less to the deck. So again, it works well with Kongalala's chipping, Rorgi's chipping. They'll chip the enemy units down, and then they'll remove them off the field, and they'll get in their attacks. So yeah, that's the deck. We're going to go over a couple videos. I think I have 4 I prepared for this video. Again, they're all in free play. I'm not too worried about that. This deck still runs pretty decently in ranked. Again, I'm not saying it's going to be the next meta deck. It's just a fun deck to run, and learn how the synergies work with all these tribes and what's going to be like going forward. So yeah, let's go take a look at those videos, and I'll see you guys in a second. Okay, so the first deck is against a Ouroboros. So we don't know if it's the Kami version or just the mono black version yet. I decided to keep this hand because I have 2 chip units and Kushala Daora, and I have cards that I can use to either chip or things like that, or help with the HP. As you can see, I was going for that, and he had 2 destruction cards, so he burned already 2 destruction cards on 1 unit, which is fine with me. I ended up pulling another Kongalala, so I decided to just drop and try to put some pressure on. I didn't have to, he was already down, but and I get the Valstrex and I drop him, and he drops Cruel Game right off the bat. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be great. This is going to be a unit removal game. So I'm going to wait a little bit here. I have a 7 HP lead. I don't need to make a move unless he makes a move, and he does, so now it's my time to act. So as you can see, I drop Kangalola, and automatically this guy's already at 4. So he uses another removal card, Fate of the Unworthy, a card that should have been nerfed, but it hasn't. I decided I needed to use Coral Orchestra right away because I might not ever pull up another unit, and that could be the end of the game for me. And as you saw, I didn't pull up anything, so if he removed somehow Kuropeko, then I was done. He goes to remove my unit, or do some damage. I counter with a shield, and then so he decides he's going to remove his own unit and gain some health back. And then he's going to remove Kuropeko, which is fine. I pulled a Banbaro, and if I have to use in the block, I can, and Kushala Daora can gain health, and I'm going to have to use in the block because Devil Joe's out. I decide, you know what, we're going to go down. We're going to just use Liberating Slash, and we're going to remove, and we're going to be down. But I then, in the chain, I used State of Nothingness to give Kushala Daora protection from spikes and everything as such. I used Banbaro to make him a 7/10. Just for protection. I was thinking about dropping Rorgi here, but I held off because I did see the Tyrant come down and he used it to gain health back, which made me be able to drop the Rorgi, and now I have all these cards that I can use here to buff Rorgi. So now he's a 3/9, a 4/6. I use Agent's Memory, and then he uses Living Death. He doesn't have any units in the graveyard, and I had a ton from him removing him, so he made a mistake. I capitalized from it. Next game is against an old Metadakion. Still strong, not as strong as it used to be, and you barely see it played anymore unless you're in free play. So I have a good start here. I have 3 units that proc, or 2 units that proc, and then Banbaro. So I can just chip here. As you can see, Banbaro chips, and he drops a Hutzel. So I'm like, I'm getting Banbaro out the way. So I get Banbaro out of the way. And I use Besiege so I can keep chipping in front. He sealed Rorgi, which is fine. It would have been nice to have Rorgi, but he could still block a little bit. I use Banbaro just to get some health back. I decided I'm going to shield him because I need to combat this Hutzel. I wanted to remove the Yinkaku, but he used the shield, so he pulls him back, and he has Yawn at this point. I have enough units in my hand, so I decided to use Coral Orchestra, just so I can drop and replace as I need. And I drop a Kangalola to chip. And now I have 3 Kangalolas on the field to just chip away. I have some proccing abilities. As you're going to see right here, I'm going to just try to remove that feline right away. And in the process, my Kangalola becomes a 4/9 and a beater unit, which then makes riding the giant weapon online. And I had 2 of them in hand, so I could basically buff my field now. And this field is basically, I'm in control at this point. I don't know why he dropped it where the Besieged was, but that's okay. As you can see, I can throw something out like Kushala Daora. And I decided to Coral Orchestra again so I can get someone like Wrathion out in a pinch, or I can get Valstrex out as soon as a unit is removed on the field. As you can see, I got a buff Kangalola down on the bottom there. But, you know, Kushala Daora and the other Kangalola took care of business. Next deck is against Blazing Wall. Still a very strong deck. Blazing Wall is going to be around for a while. But I stayed with his hand because I had a Wrathion and a Kangalola, so I wanted to check some of the synergy going on. He's not doing anything. I don't want to sit here for 5 minutes, so after 20 seconds I drop a card and let him go to work. Looks like he has a bunch of destruction cards in his hand off the bat, so you know what, we're going to survive that one. And he goes for another one, and I'm just going to move him. I'm I'm not going to get the MP from it, but I'm going to keep him on the field for a little bit of pressure. And then Kuropeko makes him actually stay alive a little bit longer. Another Kuropeko. So it seems like he's playing a human version Blazing Wall, which human in general is a very good tribe. As you can see, he's just wiping stuff out. And now you can see Rorgi do a little bit of work. And Galala's getting his butt kicked up top. But because of Bambro, he survives. I would have used that other way around. I would have used the Axel second just to at least proc Rashid's ability once. But here's me buffing Rorgi, but he's like, nah, we're not going to have that. So I take a chance. I'm like, I'm going to remove your Rashid, and we're just going to go. So we're just kind of trading now. We're just trading blows back and forth. I could have waited on that Coral Orchestra, but again, I want to get units like Kushala out faster, or Wrathion out faster. And here I made a mistake. I did the math wrong in my head real quickly, and I ended up losing a good card for it and also Rorgi for it. I should have just let Rorgi go. But I dropped Kungalala to trade. At this point, I've used 7 actions, so I'm like, screw it, we're just going to buff him. And we're just going to see where it goes. But I use a shield at the last second just to keep him clean. I want to keep him clean. And it didn't matter at that point because he had the Ken Cody combo. But I used Wrathion because now I'm going to start. You'll see Wrathion also does it to the enemy units. So Wrathion's going to have these chip damages on the units in front. As you can see, it stacks. So they're chipping down very fast. But now Rorgi is now ready to be chipped at. And I want to keep Wrathion on the field because Rorgi, I want him to keep chipping. But, you know, I get in a situation where there's Blazing Wall. But I had a Inborn Power, so I move him to do a quick 8. And then there's Kushala Deora, and he's just going to keep removing units off the field at this point. And even though he dropped Ryu and he had a chance with the 2 units on the top and the bottom lane, it was easy win from there. Last is against fighting against Inner Demons, which is becoming a more popular art played, especially with the announcement of the Rakoha nerfs coming. Good hand to keep. I had a Rorgi and a Kuropeko, so it's easy 1-9 right as soon as I can. And then I draw another Kuropeko, so it's like easy 1-11 for me. And now he's playing a growth version of Inner Demon, so this could be interesting. But see how I had him at a 1 or 4. I had him at a 4 attack very easily to be able to use the buff cards on. So I want to remove the Quailloff roots because I don't want him to gain the health back, but he negates it. But I jump Rorgi up in the lane. And I shield him for protection. The only thing I'm worried about at this point is a Brainwashed. But, you know, we're just going to deal with it at this point. So we're just going to sit here and chip. And Dalsim does some damage across the board, but he ascends over the top. Which is very interesting because he's going to create a major beater in the lane, so I'm just going to have to start blocking. I decide to use State of Nothingness on the Kuropeko. Just hopefully trade with him too. But just my luck, he gets a Maverick card and it removes my Kuropeko before anything can really go off. So now at this point I said, you know what, I'm just going to keep blocking in that lane no matter if I'm losing the unit, and I'm just going to try to win up top. But then there comes Neven. But I want to keep him alive against Neven. But it's not going to happen because he negates it, and we're going to trade out at this point. And the only thing that can save him now is if he drew a Mavic card. And he didn't, so that's the game. And here's the deck list again. Again, like, subscribe, leave comments, let me know. If you need anything, you can always hit me up on Twitter, Discord, Reddit. I'm always there. But again, I hope you enjoy this deck. I really enjoyed making it. It's fun to play. Here's a QR code again. And everybody have a good night, or good day, good weekend. Take care, guys. I'm going to be coming back with another video pretty soon, probably on Friday or so, Friday, Saturday. So I'm going to be making another deck video. So guys, take care. Have a good one.